Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All right.
Powered by Emery Allen. Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All right. Guys, we got an awesome show lined up for you today. Did you know we're the #1 landscape lighting show in Southern California? I don't know. It's Fox News, it's CNN, it's all over the place. I don't know. Guys, if you missed part 1, today is part 2 of the Sean Crane episode. And the title of the first one, I think, was like, what happens to your life when you're found guilty of attempted murder? So we're going to find out what happens to your life. We didn't find out exactly what happens. We found the start of that. So if you did miss the start of episode 1, go back and listen to that. And then this will finish that episode. This will be episode 2. So this is the first time we've done this, where we actually have like, okay, we didn't finish the story. We got to finish this up. So if you're looking to start or grow a landscape lighting business, or if you're in any business or you work for a company, this episode can change your life. And I won't say it will change your life, because you have to take action. You know what I mean? But Sean is just a really, really good man. Done some time. He's done some time. But just the mission he is on right now, like I'm on board. I love supporting people and sharing that share similar sentiment and want to change the world through their actions. So we're going to be talking about his journey, and really not just his journey, but like how his journey is going to affect your trajectory. So really, really excited. Thank you guys so much for your support. It is such a blessing to be able to do this show every single week. And I just want to say thank you. It means the world. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to everyone who listens. If you guys have found value and you've gotten, you've heard from some of our guests and gotten value in your life, please go do a 5-star review for us on Apple, on Spotify, and give a review for them. Like, mention their name, call our guests out and be like, hey, that episode with Sean changed my life. Like, if you're not getting value, then don't give a 5-star review. But if you are, like, go do it. So really appreciate your guys' support there. And we're going to just jump right into this one, guys. I'm not even going to do like my normal monologue or whatever. Before we have Sean on, I do want to, of course, thank Emery Allen. And you guys know this, friends don't let friends install subpar lamps. Emery Allen, they make premium LED lamps for lighting professionals who demand the best. So when you're considering what product you're going to install, don't settle for less. Make sure to upgrade your designs, your installations today with Emery Allen. If you want the homie hookup, you want to get that discounted rate, that contractor pricing, just email Jackson L at emeryallen.com. Jackson and then the letter L, Jackson L at emeryallen.com. Mention that you heard about him here on Lighting for Profits, and he will hook you up with that discounted contractor pricing. All right, guys, I told you today's episode has the opportunity to change your life. So I want to just jump right into it. We got Sean Crane coming on the show. Let's get the intro going. What do you guys say? Welcome back to the show, Mr. Sean Crane. What's up, Sean?
What's up, Ryan? How we doing, brother?
Oh man, I'm feeling good. I've been training for this Spartan, so I'm tired. But I one of the things I admire about you, and I see you making your social media videos and stuff, is you remind me of me. It's just like you just choose every day to be happy, to be grateful, and it doesn't really matter what else is going on. You can still be happy and grateful. So I feel happy and grateful today, man.
I love it, man. Whatever you tell yourself becomes true over time, right? And most people wake up and they have negative self-talk, and that affects their whole day. So
it totally does. Yeah.
You got to have the positive self-talk, and you got to back it up with positive action. That's a recipe for happiness.
I love it, man. Well, what I want to do is figure out how you went from going to jail for attempted murder to now talking like this. So we started the journey on the first time. We had some internet issues. So we're going to basically pick up where we left off. On your story before, we talked about how you were involved in this altercation. There was a fight going on. Someone got stabbed. You got blamed for it. You get arrested. Is that pretty much I mean, I know that's like the short version of it, but is that pretty much what happened?
Yeah. I mean, we touched on, coming from a broken home, falling into addiction, kind of losing my way in life, partying too much, and ended up at a party where a massive brawl broke out and two guys were stabbed. One of them almost died and he was on life support. And I was blamed for that stabbing that I didn't do. And then I was facing attempted murder charges at 23 years old. So we left off when I was booked into the county jail, and it was surreal, man. Like going to court that first day, shackled up, and the news press is there taking my picture. It was something out of a movie, and it was the lowest point of my life for sure. Like, you never expect or think that you could find yourself in that situation ever. People see movies all the time. You read books and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. And I was living out that reality, man. And the first couple months in county jail were so rough. It's just like the unknown, and all the worst thoughts plague your mind, dude. It's insane. And to be honest with you, when I was in county jail, I was still getting high. Guys were bringing stuff in that were coming off the street, and we were getting high together. And I was numbing myself because I didn't want to deal with reality. And then the more I went to court, and the more I realized that I wasn't just going to get released. It wasn't mistaken identity. Like, they really had a police report with my name on it, eyewitness testimony saying we saw Sean wrestling around with this guy, fighting with this guy. The police report is never written up in your favor. They write it up in a way that's going to make you look extremely guilty, so you can be prosecuted if you go to trial. And so I'm reading the police report, and it's just, it was surreal, man. Like, it didn't feel like it was actually going to happen. Like this, I have to wake up from this nightmare at some point, And I got in a couple fights in the county jail, and that's what guys do in there. They get high and they fight. It's like the same stuff as they're doing on the street. And I was put into an isolation cell where I was in a 6x8 cell for 24 hours a day. And every 2 days, they would let you out to shower. They'd shackle you, they'd cuff you up. They'd walk you out of this little cage, you'd shower, and then you'd go back to your cell. And you're supposed to get out and go to yard, once a week. And they would just skip yard. Like, you never get outside. So
How long did that go for?
For 8 months, I would go to court maybe once every 2 weeks, once a month. And then I'd come back and I'd be stuck in that cell. And that
was because of the fighting, or?
Yeah, for the fighting. I got in 2 fights. And I remember just sitting in that cell, and I'm coming off of drugs, and I'm in there for fighting now within the jail. And I had this really, like, sobering moment, man, where the drugs started getting out of my system, and I started reflecting on my life. And I remember just thinking, Sean, what are you doing? You're doing the same stuff in here that you did on the street. Like, obviously I was innocent of the crime, but my decisions were really bad decisions. And I just had this moment where I realized that's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. And it's not going to suddenly change for me. No one's going to come and rescue me from this situation. I have to start changing now. And I really made a deep internal commitment to myself that I was going to become the person I knew I always supposed to be in life. Like, when I was a kid, I had these big dreams of being a professional athlete. I was passionate. I was a good person. I was full of life. And that kid he had been suppressed for so long, man. My initial transformation started with me just wanting to be my authentic, truest self. And the second commitment I made in that moment was that I was going to be sober for the rest of my life. I had seen my parents fall apart. People in my family overdosed and died. Friends died growing up. And here I was now doing drugs in jail. And drugs and that habit, that addiction is what led me to those circumstances. And so that was 14 years ago, man. I committed to a life of sobriety, and I've been sober ever since.
You committed to that in the jail cell?
Yeah. The first commitment was that I have to be my true self, man. I can't continue to be this charlatan. I'm wearing a mask. I'm acting like I want to be a tough guy. My behavior was not in alignment with who I knew I was supposed to be. And so I remember thinking, I don't care.
Why do you think you were acting that way? Why was your behavior not in alignment?
Around 14, 15, when, I really lost both my parents at a young age. My dad went to prison, my mom to the streets and her addiction. I got really angry and resentful. And I became, angry at the world, and I would get in fights. And then I started, thinking that, like, I was a tough guy and having this false bravado. That became a part of my identity, but that was never my true self. It was a mask I wore to protect myself from feeling that emotion, that pain inside of me. And so when I made the decision that I was going to be my true self, man, and strive for excellence in my life and everything I did, I didn't care or know how much time I was going to do in prison. And the commitment was, if I'm in here for 10, 20, 30 years, or they let me out tomorrow, I have to be this person. Like, this is who I'm supposed to be.
That's crazy. So you're committing to that, knowing you've read the police report, you've been in the fights, you've done the drugs, and you're committing like, hey, I'm going to be the best version of myself in this jail cell.
Yeah, because you can, if you have that mentality, you can find fulfillment and gratitude and joy in any aspect of life. There's people out here right now and people that'll listen to this who have millions of dollars and a family at home, and they have every reason to be happy and full of gratitude, but they wake up on certain days and they don't feel it. They don't feel the gratitude in their heart. They might say it, but they don't feel it. There's a big difference. That's because they're not in alignment, man. They're not doing stuff every day that makes them genuinely proud of who they are, whether it's they're overweight, they're drinking too much. I don't know. They got vices, they got things that they need to fix, and they're not, right? And so, or it's stress. Stress is clouding their clarity and they don't see the good in their life. They just think about the problems, right? So when I made that commitment, I started doing the work on myself in my jail cell every day. I started to feel this esteem, this self-love, this gratitude that I had missed out on for a decade in my life. And it really blew my mind, Ryan. Like, I would go to sleep at night after waking up early, saying prayers, focusing my energy around gratitude so that I could have a positive perspective for that day. I would do like 1,000 push-ups until I just couldn't do any more. I would read whatever book I had. I started reading the dictionary and writing down words to improve my vocabulary. Like, that's how bad I wanted to improve in that time. And then I'd write letters home. In my initial letters, the penmanship was so bad, I had all these misspelled words. And my dad, of all people, he would send me a letter back with my initial letter in the envelope, and he'd circle all these words that I misspelled. And he was doing it because he had done time. He knew that I had time on my hands, and he wasn't trying to like make me feel bad. He was trying to show me like, hey, this is a part of your life that you could focus on and improve right now. So what happened was, instead of thinking about the court case and the DA and the judge and all the stuff outside of my control, the witnesses that weren't coming forth that knew the truth, I started focusing on the things within my control, the things that I could do every day to improve. And it was my mentality, my spirituality, it was exercise and my daily habits. I started reading and I felt my mind come alive, like my memory, my speed of thought was improving. And then I was like, well, I might as well read the dictionary while I'm in here and learn these words. And I might as well write my letters flawlessly and focus on my penmanship. And so in a very short period of time, I felt this love inside of me start to just like blossom. It sounds corny, man, but I hadn't felt that in so long because I was numb from drugs and alcohol. And when I felt that, my whole life changed. I remember thinking, gosh, if I felt this out there, I could have done anything with my life. Like, I went from a closed-minded person to a mindset of abundance because of what I was doing in that cell. And that's what gave me hope, man, that if I can continue on this path, no matter how much time I do in prison, I feel like somehow, some way things are going to end up okay for me.
That's crazy, man. I mean, life to me is all about perspective. I look at like, anytime I'm having a bad day, all I got to do is like think about your story. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Like, if you're able to not have that victim mindset and you're able to say, okay, what are the controllables? Like, control the controllables in a jail cell. Like, dude, I got 4 kids, a wife, great neighborhood. Like, I got the life. Like, I'm not allowed to have a bad day anymore. I'm not allowed to have that victim mindset. If someone in that circumstance, and there's someone that was worse off than your circumstance was. You know what I mean? There's people that don't have a place to stay at night. There's people that don't have a meal. So it's always about perspective.
Yeah, I would think about that. I would tell myself, Sean, there's kids growing up right now in Africa or third world countries that don't have it as good as you. You're getting 3 meals a day. There's some guys that can't use their legs. They were born, handicapped, or they got in a car accident. Now they're paraplegic, and you could do squats in here. You could do push-ups. I would think about that every day to help my perspective be coming from a place of gratitude and focusing on what I have versus what I don't have.
Man, that's incredible. I truly believe that God has a plan for everybody. Sometimes, sometimes it's not the path that we would choose, but like I would never want to go to jail for attempted murder. I would never want to be the path that you went on. Like, I'm not going to pray for that. But it's interesting now because you look at the perspective and look at what now and how many lives you're going to change because you went through that. So it's cool that I don't know. I'm sure other people have felt that calling before in the jail cell, or even if it's in their own home, like in their proverbial jail cell, but they didn't listen to the calling. They didn't listen to like what they were supposed to do, and they just stayed in that victim mindset.
Yeah, I feel like we all have two versions of ourselves, always fighting for attention and control. And it's the person you're supposed to become who's limitless, right? Who operates from faith and self belief. And then the person who settles in life and holds back because of fear and doubt. And really, it's like every day our decisions are shaping and molding that person that we're becoming. And for so many of my years, I chose the wrong path. I listened to the wrong voice. You know, the coolest thing happened in jail when I got sober and I had all of that time to think and reflect, like no phone, no job, no kids, nothing, no distractions. My conscience became very loud, and my awareness around that good voice, it was undeniable. And I came to believe that that was God calling me and guiding me to become the person I was supposed to be. I remember thinking, gosh, if I would have listened to this voice all throughout my teenage years and adolescence, I'd be in a way different place in life. I'd probably be, just graduated college, maybe in the minor leagues, playing baseball, doing what I love. But I didn't listen to that voice. I ignored it. And so that's the commitment. When I said I made a commitment to become my best self, it was to trust and believe that God had a plan for me, even though I couldn't see it or understand it, and to follow that path through my own awareness, through my consciousness. I mean, every day we're being called to do things that are better for ourselves. Every day we're being called to make changes, to rise up, to become a better version of ourselves and a better man or leader, whatever that looks like. Most people ignore that voice. They suppress it, or they're doing things that numb it out entirely. And so once I got clarity and that sobriety hit, my whole perspective and my whole focus changed.
I've been I don't know, I don't want to say studying, because it's not like I'm like reading books and dictionaries about this right now. But I spent a lot of time thinking about this lately. Is that I think I know why. God designed us like, like you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? And so God designed us to be truly cavemen, because if we didn't survive like the caveman era, we're not going to be alive today. Like he didn't design us to be great entrepreneurs that take risks and make decisions from our future self. He designed it like our brain is actually wired to keep us safe. It's not wired to make us happy. And so the safe thing in people's mind, in their subconscious, is to just stay doing what they're doing, stay comfortable, right? But
Yeah.
if we really want to change the world, we're gonna have to. If we want something we don't have, we're gonna have to do something we haven't done, which means like we're gonna have to get uncomfortable, which means we're gonna have to take a risk. We're gonna have to exit the cave. We're gonna have to go out and do something that the normal person, the just average Joe, isn't willing to do. And I think that's a blessing and a curse. I mean, it's like God gave us that gift to keep us safe, to keep us alive. But I don't want to just survive. Like I want to thrive.
Yeah. Yeah. We've evolved, in modern times, we don't have the threats that we had back then, but
Yep.
we still have that ancient brain that's always looking for threats and always wanting to protect ourselves. Right. And for most people, that becomes a comfort zone that they never break free of. In order to grow, man, and to do amazing things in life, or just to become that ideal best version of yourself, you got to constantly be willing to get uncomfortable. Like we talked earlier, going to the gym, it's painful, it's uncomfortable. Trying to scale your business, try get on social media, speaking, telling your story, whatever it is, all of those things are going to make you feel uncomfortable. Like when and I'll tell this story in a little bit, but I wasn't always a good speaker. I was scared to speak in front of people. I had a fear about that. I realized that I had to face every little fear and perceived limitation if I was going to grow into the person that I wanted to be.
So take us back to like you're still in jail. You got sentenced, right? I mean, normally if you have attempted murder, I'm thinking you're going for like life, but you did a plea deal, right?
Yeah, yeah. So they offered me 7 years if I admitted guilt to the crime, and my charge would be assault with a deadly weapon. How's my audio too? I just had my landscaping guys are outside cutting trees down all of a sudden. Can you hear me all right, or do you hear?
Yeah, I can still hear that.
Let me close.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, the devil doesn't want you and I connecting or something.
I know.
That's like me and Trent. We can't be friends on Facebook still. I'm like, okay,
it didn't work.
No, he must have something on his settings. But yeah. So, and for anyone listening, if you want to really develop the mindset that Ryan and I are touching on, 2 books you should read: As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Great book. I've read it like 6 times now. And Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. I don't know if you've read it, Ryan, but phenomenal book.
I read
Really
both.
just illustrates the internal battle, right? Faith over fear. That's the hat I'm wearing, right? Faith over fear. I wear this hat everywhere and people love it. They see it and they're like, yeah, man, I love that hat. But are you applying it in your life? See, most people don't have the awareness to recognize how they're making decisions. Jail and all that time alone helped me to get so much awareness, man. And it shifted and changed the way my brain is programmed and the way I see the world. I have that for the rest of my life now. I still have to apply it every day, but that's what happened in jail, And so I went through such a massive transformation mentally, physically, spiritually, that when they offered me that plea deal, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like, is this my way out? Like, this isn't going away, And I said, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it and I'll do about 5 or 6 years. You get a little credits for time served. And I remember I just told myself, Sean, if you can overcome this challenge, you can do anything in your life after. You'll be able to accomplish and do anything. If you can go through this 5 years and stay on this path and trust and believe in God and do the right thing every day. And I got so psyched up and focused on that. I wasn't worried about the war stories and all the horror stories of prison. I was just focused on walking that line, man. And at that time, my greatest fear was that I was going to wake up one day and the feeling inside of me that God put on my heart and this change I was making was going to disappear. That was my greatest fear at that moment. And so every day that became the inspiration to do the work. I'd wake up and I'd go into my routines and I'd go into that process that allowed me to feel the way I was feeling. And that's how I developed that discipline and these routines that 14 years later, I still maintain because I never want to lose this feeling now.
That's crazy. Yeah. On one hand, I could see how it would almost be beneficial because you're not in quote unquote, the real world. So it's almost easier to keep that mindset. And you're like, man, is God going to take that away from me when I leave? But at the same time, it's got to be hard to stay disciplined when you have everyone around you doing drugs, fighting, having all that temptation. I mean, did you find, did you create an army in there? Did you find others that you could surround yourselves with to stay strong?
Yeah, well, people always say you're the sum of the 5 people you spend time with, right? And your environment's everything. And I think that's very, very relevant. However, for me being in prison, it was the perfect setting because everybody that I saw in there, I was like, I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be that way. I saw it in my dad. I saw it in my uncles growing up. They had that same mentality. I was becoming that way. So in there, it was so good for me to see those guys every day. The way they lived, how they talked, every little thing. When I was in prison, I didn't cuss the whole time just because I didn't want to be like them. Every little detail, man. So when I first got to prison, I did my best to stay to myself. I would read all day. I started doing college courses in there. They had a college correspondence program. So every day I'm studying all these topics that in the past I neglected. I'm working out every day like a beast. And I got a lot of respect from guys because I was disciplined in my routines and I was respectful and I worked out like a beast. And that gets you respect in there. And I wasn't in the drug game. I wasn't in the mix with the politics and the fighting and all that. So they didn't expect me to be involved, right? And so for the first 3 years, I was hyper-focused on myself. I didn't really open up to a lot of people. I mean, there was guys I'd work out with. I'd play chess a lot. I was, I was getting along with people, but I wasn't trying to spend a ton of time with other people. But then about 3 years in, man, something in me shifted and I was like, you know what? This is who I am. I'm not going to lose this version of myself. Now I'm in a place where I can give back to other people. And I had these younger guys or guys my age that would come up and they'd ask me to work out. They wanted to work out with me. They saw how I trained every day. Or they wanted to know what books I was reading. And some of them even started doing college courses with me and enrolled. And it was really cool because I saw those guys start to change their mentality. I saw them lose weight, build confidence. All of a sudden, some of them that were so hopeless, they're like, yeah, I'm going to go back to the same neighborhood. And, that's just what I do, right? All of a sudden, they'd be thinking about going to another city, going back to college when they got out, a different career path or something they could do, as a felon to earn money, maybe going into the trades or, starting a business. They just started talking differently. And I remember thinking, wow, this is incredible, man. I'm just sharing with these guys and showing them what helped me. And I'm seeing them really transform before my eyes. And if I can help these guys in the most worst setting imaginable, some of the worst people, right, in the country, maybe I can help other people. And that's when God put that purpose on my heart to be of service and to come home and share my story and dedicate my life to being of service for others.
Have you had moments I feel like this story happens a lot where someone goes to jail, they have an experience similar to yours. I'll just say similar, whatever that means. But they're like, man, what's wrong with me? Like, I hit rock bottom. I'm going to be better. They get out of jail. They run back to the same groups, the same neighborhoods, start doing the crimes, the drugs, and they're back in, right? Did you have moments of weakness? Did you have times where you're like, came close to doing drugs again, came close to just like screw it all, like I'm mad at God, anything like that after you got out?
No, I wish I could tell you some crazy stories. Like people like the tragedy and the bad stuff in life, right? Like, no, once I made that decision, man, and I started, you know what was crazy is like I was an addict. I liked opiates, drinking. I would do anything. And like that was my thing back in the day. When I made the decision to get sober and I started working out really intensely and doing these crazy burpee routines in my cell, I would get this endorphin high, man. I'd almost feel like I was high on drugs again, but it was pure, it was natural, it was different. I became addicted to that feeling, and then I became addicted to learning and growing. So I really changed my addiction from drugs and alcohol to personal development, and it rewired my brain. I mean, I stopped having cravings. I've never had a craving ever since. I'm not an addict anymore. I'm an evolved version of myself, you know? And so, no, I mean, there was days where you feel low. You battled depression in there. I can reflect on certain, I mean, my mom passed away when I was in prison. My grandmother passed away. You know, I remember when my mom passed away, I really just stayed in my cell for about 2 weeks, you know, because she battled addiction. And my last day in court, when I was being sentenced, I looked in the audience and I saw this woman that looked disheveled and like she was just coming off the streets, like a homeless woman. And she was crying. And I realized it was my mom. My mom, man, like,
Wow.
The woman who brought me into this earth, right, into this life, into this world, like, and it was so sad to see her that way. And then she got sober, and she started writing me letters when I was in jail, and I had this vision, like I'd get out and be able to take her to lunch and rekindle our relationship. And she relapsed, and she, you know, had a brain aneurysm. Something happened, and she died. And so, like, things like that would happen, but dude, I never felt alone in jail, Ryan. Like once I really came to believe God was guiding me through this journey, and I surrendered my will for God's will. I started reading the Bible. I became a believer. You know, every day I'd wake up and I'd say, God, like, just show me the way. Like it's your will being done, not mine. Every day. And so I never felt alone. It was crazy. I didn't talk to a lot of people for long stretches of time, but I always felt something in my heart that made me feel like it was going to be okay and I was going to be able to get through it.
Dude, I mean, I'm just telling you, it's you talk like, you know, it's just is what it is, but it's super impressive for me sitting on this side of the story of like, there's so many people that had opportunities to like take the light and run with it, but didn't. When you're talking and I'm like, well, how did you not relapse? Like, how did you not do that? This analogy comes to my mind. I'm a lighting guy, of course, but I mean, you have like light versus darkness and the light of Christ, right? And it's like, if you feel is what happens when you walk into a room and you turn on the light. I mean, the darkness leaves. The light will win 100% of the time. It will not get dark until you decide to turn off the light. And that's what you did. You just kept the light on. You replaced your addictions. You did all those things. So like there wasn't room for darkness to come overtake you, and you're still doing it. How many years later now? It's freaking impressive.
And you know why? It's because of the pain. So when I sat in that cell and I reflected on my life, thinking at 23 it could be all over, I had kind of like a near-death experience, you know, and it shocked me when I looked back on the life I lived versus the life I wanted to live. And I had so much regret in my heart. I felt so bad. I was like, God, I wasted my life, man. I never went after anything that I wanted to do. Like I thought I had more time. And that regret pierced my heart, bro. And it's never left. There's a scar on my heart. And every day, that's what still drives me. I never want to feel that again. And I don't want to be on my deathbed looking back going, oh man, you should have spent more time with your kids when they were young. Oh man, you could have helped more people. Like, oh man, you could have done this, you could have done that. When I'm on my deathbed, if I get the opportunity to reflect on my life, I want to just have tears of gratitude streaming down my face going, you went for it, Sean. You went all in. You went after everything that God put on your heart, man. I don't care if I accomplished one of the things or all of them. The fact that I'm willing to go all in and trust and believe and go for it, that's what counts. And so that feeling of regret is still what drives me to this day.
That's awesome, man. All right. So how were you 30? How old were you when you got out?
I was almost 30. I was 29 and like, a half or whatever.
Okay. And at that point you had some experience mentoring others, coaching others in that, and you're thinking, man, maybe there's something else. Did you know you were going to start like your own business at that point or no?
No, it's kind of scary, right? You have a feeling in your heart and you're like, well, how's this going to play out? Like, I know a lot of people go through that, right? We're like, I want to do this thing, I think, but how's it going to happen? How's it going to work out? Dude, it's crazy when you're just willing to go for it and lean forward and take action, what happens, right? I was staying in my aunt and uncle's property in a trailer for the first 2 months, man. And, after a couple of weeks, I was like, okay, I'm grateful that they let me stay here, but this isn't where I want to be. I was doing tree work with my uncle who owned a tree service business, and I had done that type of work before prison. So every day I'm going to the job site, I'm just trying to make a little money and get my feet back on the ground. And I'm miserable, dude. Like after 2 weeks of being excited to be home, I remember thinking, what am I doing here? This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. Most people would have been happy getting out, staying sober, going to meetings, making some money. But I was like, no, I can't keep doing this. This is the old self, not who I'm supposed to be. And one day I started going through my old contacts in my phone. And I remember one of my friends from high school, his name was TJ Fortuna. He did personal training. And I was like, I'm just going to call TJ and let him know that I want to help people and see what kind of advice he can give me. And he goes, hey, Sean, wow, man, it's great to hear from you. I know you've been on a really good path. I've actually been looking to hire a personal trainer to work under me. I have too many clients now. And it sounds like, man, you could be a good fit for this, but I need you to get certified. So for 2 weeks, I just literally locked myself in my aunt and uncle's office and took all the courses, all the tests, everything I needed to do. And I got certified, and I was going to head back to Santa Barbara where I'm from and go to the gym and start working with them. But at that time, these wildfires broke out in Southern California. It burned everything down, right? All the mountains were on fire. And then like these random rainstorms, these torrential rainstorms came through a week later, and mudslides covered the US 101 into Santa Barbara. People died in the mudslide. It was this big tragedy. And here I am stuck in this small little town going, okay, what do I do now? And I went back into my contacts, and one of my friends, Nick Carver, flew a single engine Cessna plane. He wanted to become a pilot, and you have to get so many hours before you can get a certain license. And I remember I called him up. I'm like, dude, these fires are crazy. The mudslides shut the freeway down. Like, you flying your plane or what's going on? I don't know what I was thinking that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But he goes, Sean, I've been flying my plane back and forth over the mudslides to shuttle executives and people that work at all the hotels in Santa Barbara to their jobs. So at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., I'm doing like a taxi service in the air, right? And I go, I need a ride to Santa Barbara. I can't drive there. All the roads are shut down. And he goes, meet me on Monday morning at 7 a.m. at the airport, and I'll bring you into Santa Barbara. And so I packed all my stuff. I had like this duffel bag, right? $1,700 to my name cash. And I met him at the airport, and we're flying in this little plane. He looks over at me and he goes, so what's your plan when we get to Santa Barbara? What are you going to do? I was like, dude, I don't know. I don't have a plan. I'm just going to go meet TJ and figure out if I can train at this gym. And he's like, you don't have a place to stay? Like, what are you going to do? And I said, no, I don't have a place to stay. I don't have a car. I'm just going to go get this job. And he chuckled. He's like, you're crazy, man. Well, my dad rents out rooms to college kids, and right now a lot of them went back home for holiday or whatever. Maybe we could find a room for you to rent. So on that same day we land, we go to the gym. I talk to the owner. I'm super transparent. I tell him I'm a new man. I want to change people's lives like I changed my own. He could see I'm genuine. And he goes, yeah, you could train here. I want to be honest with him about my felony, my background. And so now I had a personal training job. And then I went to my friend Nick's dad's house, and he had a room for rent. I gave him nearly all my money for my first month's rent. And then I needed transportation. And my uncle Mark had a mechanic in town. I went and met him, and he had all these cars he was fixing up and selling. But I didn't have any money, And so right before I'm about to leave, like feeling dejected because I'm going to run to the gym in the morning. I don't know what I'm going to do. He shows me this Honda Civic that he has, and the rear end's all smashed in. It's dirty. It's the worst looking car. You never want to be seen driving that vehicle around. But he let me borrow it for 2 weeks, man. I think I ended up borrowing it for a month, but he let me borrow it. So the next morning, I was at the gym at 5 o'clock to train my first client. I parked the car around the corner so no one would see me driving it. And that's how I started my journey as an entrepreneur, man.
That's freaking awesome, man. I love it because it's so much easier to just make excuses, like, well, the wildfires. Oh, well, I don't have a car. Oh, I don't have a place to stay. Like, you just know this, like most people just make excuses, and you just decided to make it happen. So that's,
that decision that day led to me building a multiple 7-figure coaching business and changing thousands of lives. Like it's not always this perfect, pretty start, dude. It's like, if you really want something bad enough in life, you will find a way to make it happen. After that, I met my wife, Jessica. We started a family. I have one newborn at home. She's pregnant with another baby. I have my oldest son, Mason, who's my stepson, and I'm like taking care of my family. I'm doing the personal training. By this time, I started my own fitness company in town. I left that gym. I'm going all over the place training clients. My goal back then was just to hit 10K. I'm like, if I could just hit 10K a month, we're going to be okay. I never hit 10K. It would always be like 8, 8.5, 7, right? And then all of a sudden, COVID shut all the gyms down. And I remember I'm sitting there in my living room at 4 a.m, looking at my bank account, and we got like $1,200 to our name, and rent's due, and all these bills are due. And I'm going, oh my gosh, man, I was starting to get momentum and this. And I knew that I wanted to take my business online. I had talked to mentors and guys who had done it that were reaching way more people. And, in that moment, I was so close to calling Uncle Mark back and asking him for that tree service job just to maintain and pay the bills, right? The part of the brain that wants survival and safety.
Retreat. Yeah.
But I couldn't give in, dude. I couldn't give in to that voice. I'd come so far. I remember in the morning when I was looking at my bank account, about to make the decision, I go, Sean, you've come so far. Look what you went through. Look at what you've overcome. You can't stop now, man. And that was God's voice, man. It wasn't mine. That was God calling down on me saying, there's more for you. And I decided to go online and start sharing my story, fully transparent, every day, live videos, posts, everything. And I started getting in front of a lot of people. And I went from zero income when COVID shut the gyms and all, my clients, to I hit 10K my first month online. Never could hit 10K. 10K the first month. And I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this sooner, man?
Crazy. That's
and
crazy.
I never looked back. I never looked back from that point forward. And it's just been a series of decisions and, obstacles to overcome, resistance to fight through, man. But it's been a really exciting, incredible journey.
Man, this is so cool. Seriously, I want to talk about kind of what your journey is now, but thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for being vulnerable. I think it's going to help a lot of people. Even me, like I said, like I watch your videos and I'm like, gosh, man, like what's wrong with me? Like what? I like slap myself in the face. Like, dude, what are you doing? Like, get off your ass and like go help someone today, So whether you know it or not, I know what it's like. I'll go make videos and get like 4 views and you're like, okay, my mom, my wife, and like they probably watched it twice, so there's the 4 views, and you just don't know if sometimes like if it's working, but it's working, man. Like you really are making a huge difference. So thanks for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, brother. No, I appreciate you having me on, and I'm on a mission. I feel like I'm just getting started. That's always my tagline. We're just getting started.
I want to talk to you about fitness, because this is something that's important for me. It's important for everybody, actually, whether they know it or not, right? But as I get older, I'm more aware of this stuff. When you're in your 20s and 30s, you just tend to not think about consequences, right? As you get older, I got 4 kids. I'm like, okay, there's like consequences. Like I'm in charge. Like people rely on me. And so, yeah, it's starting to become more important for me. I think when people see you, the first thing they think is like, how what steroids do you take? How many steroids do you take? Let's talk about that. Like, how do you get jacked like you?
Yeah. So unfortunately, it's not just taking a pill or doing a shot, right? You got to still work really hard. For 12 years, all I did was work out really hard, run marathons, do Ironman races, and eat pretty dang clean, good food, right? Then 2 years ago, I did my blood test for the first time, and I found out my testosterone was lower than I had anticipated. It wasn't within optimal range. So my doctor's like, hey man, testosterone is not just about building muscle and looking like a bodybuilder. It's about longevity, mental clarity. You're less likely to get cancer and dementia when your hormones are optimized. When your hormones are optimized, you have more energy. Your cells are functioning at a higher level. And so I made the decision to get on TRT. So 2 years ago, I got on TRT. I always want my levels around 900. They say that between 800 and 1200 is for optimal health in men. Most men are walking around right now at 200 or 300.
And when you do your measurement, is that at the low or the high?
So you want to be between 800 and 1200. I'm at about 900 right now.
But like, so when you take the TRT, and it depends on if you're like on a weekly dose, there's two times a week or whatever. Are you measuring that right before you is like at the low?
I do my blood work every 3 months to see where my levels are at. So I do my shot 3 times a week. I used to do it once a week, but then you'd have a spike and a drop.
Yeah.
And I did it twice a week, kind of same thing. So now I do it 3 times a week, and I do it subcutaneously, right? Meaning you like the little bit of fat near your belly button. And so it's just more of a sustained release versus intramuscular where you spike and then drop. And I found that to be better because your levels stay pretty even throughout the week and your estrogen doesn't spike as much. You don't want estrogen too high. That makes you lethargic, turns you into a woman. No, but honestly, you don't want estrogen too high. So yeah, I do my blood test every 3 months to maintain my levels.
Yeah. And before that, you weren't doing it. You felt fine. Like what caused you to decide to go do your blood work?
Yeah. Well, so at that time, about 2.5 years ago, I was having success in my business. Let's say 3 years ago, I was still kind of a one-man show. Then I started speaking at events. I spoke at Tommy Mello's event. Victor Rancourt hired me as his personal coach. I started working with all these blue collar guys, Lance Bachman. And so my business started growing a lot. I started building my team, other coaches, admins, operators. And, I saw Tommy Mello, his event, Dr. J spoke and talked about leaky gut and all these things him and Tommy Mello were doing. So shortly after that, I partnered with Dr. J, and I wanted to be able to provide that service for my clients because I saw how impactful it had been for Tommy and his results. And that's when I started doing the biohacking. I started doing the blood work and really understanding about leaky gut and cell absorption rates and hormones. And there's a lot more that goes into it than just hormones. And so I did this really comprehensive blood test. Found out I was allergic to wheat and I had leaky gut, which was causing tons of inflammation. One of my liver enzymes was high, which was odd. We were looking into that. And then my testosterone wasn't optimal. And it was recommended to me to start doing TRT. And I decided to start doing it. And it's for energy recovery. I felt good before TRT. And I remember my doctor goes, Sean, you've just normalized that level. You've normalized the level of stress. You're a super driven guy, but your biomarkers are showing you're not recovering. So it might not make a huge difference for you today or next week or next year, but in 10, 20, 30 years, it's going to have a difference. You want your hormones to be optimized. It's so important. So I got on TRT, started doing customized supplements, fixed my gut with our gut health protocol, which we offer our clients, and then started doing peptide therapy more recently, which has had a tremendous effect on aches and pains, recovery, sleep, all of these different factors.
Yeah. And you mentioned normalizing. It reminds me the first time I got glasses, I literally just thought everyone saw the world the way I saw the world. I didn't know I needed glasses. I could see, I could walk, I could do anything, but I didn't know, I got glasses. I literally got glasses and I live here in Utah. I looked at the mountains and I was like, oh my gosh, they're beautiful. You can see trees and rocks. And I had no idea what I was missing out on. I just thought that's everyone's version of vision was the same as mine. And so it's the same thing. You do your blood work, you find out, oh wait, there's other ways to be happy. You normalize your circumstance just because you feel like everyone's tired all the time. Everyone's depressed. Everyone's miserable. Just it is what it is. Accept it and move on.
Yeah. And that's a really good analogy, man. We normalize the level we're at, and it's not like I was feeling bad or feeling low, but I want to live the ultimate life. I want to be the absolute best version of myself. I want to live to be 120 years old if I can. So that means optimizing my cells now, not waiting, right? Not waiting until I have symptoms. This is preventative. So yeah, I made that decision, and I've never done, people say TRT is a steroid. Some people say it's not. I don't care about that debate. I've never done actual steroids, right? I've never done Anavar, D-bol, or whatever this stuff is. I have no desire to. I don't need to.
What is the difference between steroids and TRT?
I mean, I can't give you this perfect scientific clinical answer. I just know steroids can cause a lot more harm to your heart. It puts a lot of strain on your organs, where TRT doesn't do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and then now, then the last, I don't know, maybe year and a half, everything's about peptides. What the heck is even peptides?
Yeah, peptides are amino acids. So if you have a protein, right, all of my fingers, right, are amino acids that make this protein, right? So proteins are just branched chain amino acids combined in a certain sequence that makes it that type of protein. Right now, your body has trillions of peptides and amino acids and proteins in all your cells working for certain bodily functions, right? So peptides are basically signals that tell your body to do certain things or not do certain things. Like insulin is a peptide. Most people don't realize that. The ones that people are hearing about now are like the GLP-1s for weight loss, TB 500 and BPC 157. So, right now everyone online is selling peptides. And a lot of those companies will be shut down because the FDA is going to crack down on a lot of people. What I've done in my company, Unstoppable 365, is we're fully legit. We have providers in all 50 states. Everything we do is by the book, right? So we're fully compliant in everything that we do. We create prescriptions for our clients who need certain things. So they have to do blood work, meet with a provider, go through those biomarkers and get their health audit. Then from there, certain compounds that they need or hormones they need can be recommended for them.
I think that's important to clarify, because you see a lot of people on, at least online, going, what peptide should I use? What are you using? And
Yeah.
it's like, at least I don't know. I don't feel like it's generic. I think like what you said, like do your blood work, get it prescribed, make sure that you're dialing in your formula that makes sense for your body, right?
Yeah, and I follow guys like Brian Johnson. I believe that. Yeah, I think it's Brian Johnson. He's like trying to be to live the longest, like the longest living man. He's actually supposedly reversed his aging, and his blood work shows that he's reversing his aging through his biohacking.
I read that.
Yeah, so you got him, Andrew Huberman, guys like Gary Brecka, Peter Thiel, I think it is. So I try to follow and as much of these guys and do as much research as possible, because I'm a believer that anytime you take something that's not naturally occurring and you take something that's naturally occurring and you interfere with it, there's always unintended consequences. So people go like, aren't you worried about peptides? Like it's going to cause this, that. I mean, there's conspiracy theorists saying that they put the vaccine in peptides and everyone's self-vaccine because all the health and fitness people are free thinkers supposedly, and they didn't want to get the vaccine. I've also seen some experts go, hey, there's heavy metals and other stuff in these compounds. You don't know what you're getting. You got to be careful, right? I do my blood work every 90 days. We get our peptides from a very accredited source. Pharmacists make them in their laboratories, like in their office, right? So since I've been doing peptides, I'm doing BPC 157 and TB 500, which is for recovery. And this is the best my body's felt in such a long time. I beat my body up over the years with all the training. I got a torn ligament in my left shoulder, broke my clavicle cycling 4 years ago, broke my scapula snowboarding 5 years ago, ran so much that I literally have no cartilage in my right knee, and I've had a torn meniscus for 3 years. I can't run anymore. So I'd have all these aches and pains constantly. And since I've been doing the Wolverine stack, which is BPC 157 and TB 500 every morning, this is the best my body's felt. I don't have aches and pains right now. It's incredible. I used to sleep wrong and I'd wake up and my neck would be all kinked and my shoulders would be killing me all day. So, I'm a believer because of the results I'm getting and what I've seen in other people. I mean, we've had clients who really had trouble losing weight, or their metabolism was all screwed up, or they were pre-diabetic, or all these things. And they're doing GLP-1s, or they're doing retatrutide, right? Which is a big one right now. And they're losing weight, their metabolism's functioning more efficiently. It elevates your thermogenesis, which is the amount of calories you burn at rest. It targets belly fat. It helps your metabolism. It's pretty incredible. So I'm always paying attention to new research. I'm always paying attention to the source of this information. And then, there's a reason, whether you're a political person or not, like RFK is a proponent of peptides. He said they should be more accessible to the public. Why is, the number one person in the country for our health a proponent of peptides, right? Well, probably because there's a lot of benefits to them. You just can't buy them off freaking Peptide John on Instagram and just shoot them in your body blindly. Like that's stupid, do your blood work, have a team of what I've built with my company is we have a team of professionals. So not only are you doing your labs and you get to go through them, but you get to actually have conversations like this with functional medicine doctors. And they work closely with all our clients to monitor their labs, make sure they're prescribing the right dose, high quality peptides or hormones or whatever people need. And then we're constantly monitoring those biomarkers to see how it's affecting their health and their overall well-being.
Cool. So actually I want to ask you about kind of the logistics of that. How does that work with an online doctor, if you will, right? But before I do that, I want to ask you about diet. We were chatting right before we went live, like, okay, like maybe what can I do with my diet? What are some easy things to do? Because it's easier just to go hit a drive through. It's easier to just do the easy stuff, even though we know it's not good for us. But do you have any like just things for like a quick snack or something like that that's good for you that doesn't taste like garbage?
Yeah. So easy is a a euphemism for lazy. Okay. So
Yes.
just put that in your brain, right? The easy
Yes.
way doesn't get you to where you want to go seldom in life, right? So whole foods is the number one thing that you should be focusing on. Things that were on Earth 200-300 years ago.
Okay.
You really want to eliminate processed foods. I'd recommend eliminating gluten from your diet. When I used to hear people say that back in the day, I'd clown on them, like gluten, like, oh, you're gluten free, right? Like you nerd,
Yeah.
right? Like, no, like
Loser.
I don't eat bread anymore. I don't eat flour tortillas because it created so much inflammation. So whole foods, prioritize protein. You got to do a little planning, man. It takes some thought. Like you can't just wake up. I don't wake up and go, what am I going to eat today? I always have meals prepped. And if I do go out, there's like one spot I go. It's called Best Barbecue in Santa Barbara, California. Dude, I take my kids there like 4 times a week when we're out, and they get tri-tip chicken, rice, and chili beans, right? And they cook it right in front of you. There's no seed oils. So for me, health is so important, and nutrition is so important. It's a skill set to be able to eat healthy nowadays, man. And so practical tips: prioritize protein, make sure you're getting enough protein, and whole foods. And then the last thing I'd say is like you gotta actually think about it. It's not going to be easy. Like, do you want to be healthy or do you not want to be healthy? Well, if you want to be healthy, you should think about this and make it a priority in your life. And if you're busy, dude, you can hire a chef. You can, have like I have people that come to the house and they do stuff, right? Whether it's cleaning or whatever. Like I'll have one of our nannies or one of our people like cook up a bunch of ground beef and white rice and lay it out for me and have it in the refrigerator. So I know it's always there. That's a system, right? You just got to have a system in your personal life, the way around nutrition or health and fitness, the way you do in business. And so I know that's probably not the answer you wanted to hear. You're like, oh, give me some quick, easy things. I mean, it takes some thought. You got to know what are the best foods to eat. I'll just tell you right now, the best carbs: rice, sweet potato, oatmeal. Those are my go-tos. Protein, I eat a lot of lean ground beef. Not really a big chicken guy, so I eat a lot of lean ground beef. I'll eat chicken sometimes.
But chicken's fine if you're
Chicken's really good, super lean. I eat a lot of egg whites, and then I eat a lot of non-fat Greek yogurt. And for anyone listening and yourself, Ryan, clean, simple eats. Best protein on the market. A lot of the protein powder out there has so much stuff added to it. Clean, simple eats has like 5 ingredients, and it's sourced from grass-fed cows, right? Grass-fed beef. And they have all these amazing flavors. They have vanilla, cookies and cream, snickerdoodle, like all these flavors. So I'll get the vanilla flavor and mix it in with some non-fat Greek yogurt, cut up some strawberries and put it on top. And I feel like I'm eating a strawberry shortcake.
That's a protein powder.
Yep.
Okay.
Or I'll make a protein shake with like the chocolate flavor, a little milk, banana, peanut butter, and ice. Dude, it tastes amazing. Right.
Okay.
So there's little hacks, but before you get to like the little hacks, you got to get good at being disciplined, and hot sauce goes a long way. Sriracha, El Pato, right? Like I'm eating ground beef and white rice. I don't mind it, dude. This is just how I've been for so long.
With hot sauce?
No, I'll eat it plain all the time.
Oh, okay.
Right. But like if I'm getting a little crazy, a little wild, right? This is how I party nowadays. I'm like, I'm gonna put a little El Pato on there, right? So yeah, that's
very cool.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I appreciate the insight. The thing that I keep, it's just the recurring theme with you, man. It's just intentional. It's like, like you said, like do you want to feel better or not? Do you want to be healthy or not? Do you want this dream life or not? And it's true. Like people say, oh, I don't have time or I'm busy. It's like, well, then just get up earlier and prep your meal. There's always a way.
Maybe you don't. And so put a better system in your personal life. Like I work with all business owners, right? I'll get excuses all the time. And I go, dude, hire a freaking chef to come to your house 3 days a week. Or, you have housekeepers that come to your house every day. Show them how to prep your meals and have your meals always in the fridge for you. Like you don't always have to do all this stuff. Just make sure it's available for you. Right? Like we all need systems in life if we want to get the best results. That applies to business and personal life. Most of the work I do with my clients is setting up systems in their personal life so they get the intended results they want.
Love it. Yeah. Well, talk to us just real quick about your company. It's Unstoppable 365. And if I'm hearing it right, I mean, you can live anywhere. Doesn't matter what state you're in. You can join this program. You don't have to go see like a local nutritionist. That's what you guys provide. You guys provide the blood work, the assessment, the nutrition, like advisory, like all the supplement advisory, all that.
Yep. Yeah. So when clients sign up with us, like right away, lab kit, which is a blood test, gets shipped out to them. And then we have a phlebotomist that we coordinate with to come to your house or come to your office, draw your blood. Once the results are available the next week, they'll get on a Zoom call like this with one of our doctors, and they're going to go through all your labs, and they're going to do a health audit with you and share the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then give you recommendations. Like, hey, Ryan, your testosterone's 100. Like, how are you walking around? It should be minimum 600. Or, hey, we saw this high inflammation in your markers. Like, this could help you. So now they have that protocol, and that stuff gets shipped to your front door every month or every 2 months, whenever you need the supply. It's shipped to your front door. We do blood tests every 9 days to maintain the labs and make sure we're looking at all your biomarkers. And then the clients work with me and my team. I have an app, so we structure workout nutrition programs. I run community calls every week for accountability and support, and make sure that our clients have that accountability and support they need to be consistent. The thing that's cool about the app is those are our KPIs. I can see when you're working out. I can see what you're eating. I can see if you're doing the stuff or not doing it. And so after a period of time of me checking that and holding you accountable, it becomes a habit. Now you have a system that you operate off of. But the weekly calls are super important because I'm helping guys structure their morning routines, kind of reorganizing their days, certain stuff in business or family. Like, we talk about it all because it's all going to affect you and how you show up. So it's not just fitness and nutrition. It's more like life coaching, right? We're looking at all the aspects of your life that are either holding you back or things that you got to fine tune to move forward. But obviously the health is the foundation because that affects your performance and everything you do.
Love it, man. Well, those people that want to reach out, they want to stay connected with you. They want to check out your program. What are the best ways to do that?
Yeah, my website's www.unstoppable365.com. You can go on there and check out our different programs. We got a bunch of amazing testimonials. Or you just reach out to me on Facebook. I know a lot of your audience, like mine's, on Facebook. It's Sean, Sean, Michael Crane. Send me a DM or, get a hold of me there. And then on Instagram, it's Sean_Crane_official. Shoot me a DM, man. I'll answer it and I'll respond accordingly.
Love it, man. Highly recommend you guys check out Unstoppable 365. You gotta connect with Sean. You gotta follow him on Facebook. I love I'll pull up the app and I'll see Sean's videos and it fires me up. It's just, you start with like this, kind of like normal message. And then I can just tell you just like get called by God and you're like, here we go. And so it's awesome. So make sure you guys do check that out. This is an important topic, I think, for everybody, and truly inspirational, Sean. I appreciate you sharing your message. I appreciate you putting yourself out there, you getting uncomfortable and you sharing your message and knowing that there's going to be haters and there's going to be people that are trying to call you out and tell you to do steroids and all this other stuff, because it's not easy, but you are changing the world, brother. And I just appreciate your message, man.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, go kill it. Now I'm going to feel guilty now if I don't plan my meals. So you got me motivated. I'm going to change. I'm going to get better. I don't care if it's 1%. I'm going to get better today. Thanks, everyone. Go out and crush it. Thanks, Sean.